or unfinished? If you can let us know.
They're both.
Both.
The
Okay.
one that I've experienced is unfinished.
Unfinished. Okay. So most unfinished attics in residential homes are going to need to be ventilated. Again, in order to have the proper airflow through the attic to control the temperature and the moisture. If it's unfinished, you're going to need to have ventilation. A finished attic is typically, again, it's going to be sealed off from the exterior and it's going to be treated as a part, as a conditioned living space, just like the rest of the house would be. So another thing to keep in mind, one thing we touched on with the weather, the purpose of attic ventilation is going to change with the season and with the climate, right? So in colder climates, the ventilation is used to prevent things like ice dams and to allow moisture to escape. In warmer climates, we're using attic ventilation to lower the attic temperatures and reduce some of the heat on some of our roofing materials, and so we can cut down on our cooling costs. So just know that too, that the purpose and what it's doing will depend on the climate or the season that we're in. So, regardless, the overall point or the overall goal is to have consistent airflow from the eaves to the ridge. We want, again, that cooler air to be entering at the eave through your soffit vents. Remember, we talked about those in roofing, and then the warm air we want to exit at the top through the ridge vent. So when we talked about, again, our rafters meet at the ridge, there is, when we have our roof covering material, when they lay the ridge, they lay it, or they can be laid with vents venting along that ridge, and that's where we want the warm air to exit. And so the stack effect helps us with that, to sort of drive kind of like that natural ventilation pattern. All ventilation setups are not the same, they're not equal. The main thing that you want to look out for is that you don't want to have competing systems, right? So you don't want to have the ridge vents as well as a gable vent. You don't want to have a powered fan in the attic. It, all of those are competing, right? We want that natural airflow coming in through the eaves, out through the ridge, back and forth, continuation. So, by default, the requirement for ventilation for attics, does anybody know? The requirement for attic ventilation? You need to know. It's a test question. 1 square foot of net free ventilation for every 150 square feet of attic floor. 1 square foot of net free ventilation for every 150 square feet of attic floor. Net free area just is accounting for the screens over the vents that slightly reduce the total opening size of the vent. So, in terms of your actual inspection, you're not technically required to calculate this exactly, but you should know how to eyeball whether the proper ventilation exists and areas that you need to flag or point out for further evaluation. Okay. So, again, what's air should flow continuously from where to where?
The ridge vent.
From where?
The eaves to the
From the
vent.
eaves to the.
That's correct. So when we say the eaves, remember we're talking about that overhang. So that's where, again, soffit vents. Okay, when you look up under the overhang of the house and the soffit, which is wooden. It is covered with the trim that is typically the material of the house. And there are those what do you call them? Little small little holes or whatever the case may be. Those are soffit vents. We are taking in the air there and we are letting it out at the actual ridge. Okay. Now, in this diagram, it sort of shows that process. Hold on 1 second. Okay. It shows this process. So down here, bottom left, this is your soffit vent where you have the, again, based upon the season, we'll have our cool air from outside entering through these vents, going up to the attic. Because of the stack effect, as the warm air in the attic rises, this is what draws in that cooler air. So again, we're coming in at the soffit, out at the ridge. We exhaust at the ridge vent. The warm air exits through the ridge vent. This is the most effective exhaust location, if you will. Now, it has a gable vent here, but this is not recommended when you have a ridge vent. So a gable vent is just a vent that you would see at either end of the house. It could be square like that, rectangle. It could be circle. But if you have a ridge vent, you would not want to have the gable vent as well, because this could disrupt that airflow and pull the air across the attic instead of allowing it to go up and out. Okay, so when you have your ridge and your soffit vents, the gable vent should be sealed or blocked to prevent that competition with the ventilation. Now, the insulation below is going to keep conditioned air inside of the living space, and we don't want our insulation to block the soffit vent. Okay, we have what are called baffles, which is this basically right here, that are installed to maintain the airflow. The other thing to point out is that, remember, now going up through the attic, you could have your vents, your plumbing vents, right? Your vent stacks. They need to be properly sealed. Okay, around the penetration coming up through the floor, basically, of the attic, they need to be sealed. Okay, so this is a passive ventilation system. It's basically moving the stack effect, the natural movement of air. Soffit vents as your intake, ridge vent as your exhaust. Does this make sense?
Question, that gable then, is that called because is that only used for the gable type of roofing? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, typically when you have a gable vent, it's on the roof style is a gable, two slopes, continuous ridge.
Okay, so the other type of roofings do not have, or they have a different name for whatever vents, or they don't have vents like those on the walls.
Like the gable vent?
Yes.
Typically, no.
Oh, okay,
what
so
you will
just
see,
this type of roofing.
Yeah, what you will see in most cases in newer homes is this passive flow through the soffit out at the ridge. If you see ridge vents and a gable vent, or even if it's not a gable roof, if you see a vent at the top of the structure and there's also a ridge vent, that's a defect. You have competing exhaust at that point. Any other questions? All right, so this is what it looks like. So this here, there's a vent. So this is your ridge vent. Okay, going all the way across. As you can see, this is a gable roof. Now, what could this discoloration here, what could that be a sign of?
Would it be corrosion of the metal on that ridge?
Possibly,
For
or
the metal, yeah.
or what else? It could be rust, or what else could it be a sign of?
Water, possibly.
Exactly. If we have poor ventilation, it's going to cause moisture buildup near the ridge. If we were to go inside this house to the attic and look up, we would likely see water stains on the inside. So again, before you would be doing your roof first. So before you even went inside the home, as soon as you saw that, you would know, hey, I need to make sure I check out the attic because I could have potential significant moisture. I mean, this is going all the way across. And you can see right here how the vent is raised up. It's not properly installed. Okay, so you could have an issue with moisture building up there. Do you see any other defects?
Them gutters they not installed right. Them gutters is off. I thought the gutters needed to be installed at the fascia.
Correct.
And they
This is
have some fingers that are damaged.
that's
Yeah.
correct.
It doesn't seem like it's sloped. I don't see a downspout. Oh, there's a downspout, but it doesn't seem like it's, let me see. I don't know if it's sloped or not. It doesn't seem sloped to me.
What inference could you make about the chimney?
Look at that.
Maybe there needs to be, oh, I can't really tell if there's counter flashing around.
It's not, child. It's not. It's a whole bunch of what they call that stuff.
Is it the mortar is missing? It's already breaking apart, and then the bricks are loose. It's gonna collapse pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't
Where
think
do you
those
see loose
counter
bricks?
flashing. It seemed like it's different material that they're using. Like Augie said, some type of
Roofing tar. They're using
caulking or
they're
something.
using
Yeah.
roofing tar
That's not
as a
supposed to be
sealant.
like that.
So remember when we talked about the difference versus sealant versus flashing? Sealant is a temporary and it should not be
Yeah.
used in place of flashing. But outside of that, just looking at this chimney, what can you infer just off top? I mean, not even infer, but what can you tell?
It's been repaired.
In what way?
That top brick is not the same as that bottom brick that they've hidden or got
The
something.
top of the
hiding.
chimney has been replaced. Right, starting right here. It's been replaced. This is new brick. This is old brick. Can you tell that visually?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So would you notate that in your report?
Yeah.
I would, because in my mind, in my opinion, when you find the need to replace any section of the chimney, you should be replacing the entire chimney. But I know people don't do that because they cheat and they like to take shortcuts, which in the end typically comes back to bite you in the butt. So I would notate, hey, it appears that the upper portion of the chimney has been replaced. This could be because of, some issue. I would advise you to monitor this, especially depending upon what I saw on the inside of the attic. Can you see here how that is lifting up here?
Yeah.
Also, what about this situation?
Not flashed properly.
Multiple areas of deteriorated, damaged shingles. Okay. All right. Crawl space ventilation. Let's talk about crawl space. How can I?
Can y'all hear me?
Now I can.
Okay. Okay, I was trying to see if my earbuds work. Okay, thank you. It was just an experiment.
Gotcha. All right. Again, crawl spaces either need to be properly ventilated or properly sealed. Okay, so if you're in an area, so Nicole, Craig, that's really it. If you're in an area with crawl spaces, it needs to be either sealed up or properly ventilated. Okay, typically in areas where you have drier climates is when you have the crawl spaces that are going to be ventilated. So your default ventilation requirements. Does anybody? Well, it's right there on the screen, but does anybody remember it?
Yeah. The floor is 22 by 30.
No,
18 by 24.
no. I want to know the ventilation requirements, not the access opening.
Oh, it's the same. It's the one square foot to 150, and then like the vapor barrier is like 1 to like 1,500 or something.
1,500.
Correct. That's correct. You will see this question on the test. Okay. So I'm glad that you associated that it's the same with an attic. Remember that if we add a vapor barrier, we basically add a 0. So 1 square foot of net free ventilation per each per 150 square feet of crawl space, the floor area. That's if there is no vapor barrier. If there is a vapor barrier, then we add a 0 to this number, and then we have 1 square foot of net free ventilation for every 1,500 feet of crawl space floor. Now, if you're going to have it ventilated, if we're talking about a ventilated crawl space, at least one vent needs to be located within 3 feet of each corner of the crawl space. So this is what's represented here. Within each corner, one vent within 3 feet of each corner. Okay, so that we can have cross ventilation. Now, again, when we talk about our different seasons, in the summertime, if you have a ventilated crawl space, you're obviously going to have warm, damp air that's entering your crawl space area, is going to condense on the cooler surfaces inside here of your crawl space. Say, for instance, your HVAC ducts or your framing. And so that's sort of a downfall or a con. You could also have, again, because of that, wood rot, mold, and you kill the efficiency of your insulation, which is measured by what?
The R value.
That's correct. Okay. And then in the wintertime, we're going to have cold air entering into the crawl space, which lowers the temperature, makes us pay more in heating. So again, you got to think of this in terms of what season it is and what's going to be happening with the temperature. So you want to make sure that the vent openings are clear, not blocked with anything. Again, that they're within 3 feet of each corner. If you have a vapor barrier inside of your crawl space, it needs to be at least how many mils thick? Our vapor barrier, which is our vapor retarder, is like a thicker plastic looking situation. And it is measured in, let me see, 6 is correct, Craig. 6, at least 6 mils thick for your vapor barrier. It needs to be overlapped and taped at the seams so that it is sealed up. Okay. Now, when you have your unventilated, a lot of these are in your newer homes, again, where they have everything sealed up. They're focusing on energy efficiency. Your crawl space is sealed off from the outside air. Again, typically a vapor barrier, vapor retarder would be installed, and the crawl space receives conditioned air via our supply ducts or continuously exhausted using a fan. Okay, so that is the ventilation for your crawl space. Okay, ventilation, not to be confused with, you were right about the access opening for the crawl space through the floor, and then you can see here the 16 by 24 inch access opening from an outside door. So this is what it looks like in real life. This is your access opening. Here are your vents. So you see, this is the corner of the home here. So we've got a vent there. There's another corner just on the other side of this picture. We've got a vent here. This is the screen here. Those X's, that's what represents the screen. So if possible, you would enter through this access opening here. Oh, no, I ain't gonna lie. That's a little tight for me. Pause. I would not be able to do it, but you know, I know people who, you know, they get in them crawl spaces, and more power to you. You know, put your little suit on, your respirator, and get to it. God bless your heart. But for me and mine, I would not be entering. I would remove that access cover. I would shine my light in there. I would see what I could see. I would report, and that would be that for me. For me. Again, for you, you would have to make the decision. Remember what I said. You can't. I'm glad I don't live in an area with crawl spaces, so I don't have to worry about it. Because it's an important area that you really do need to check, especially if you have mechanicals and different things like that in there. But there are so many different circumstances that you could find within a crawl space, and you really do got to be careful. You don't want to find yourself face to face with any sort of critters or creatures. If you have any sort of standing water in there, some of the alumni were asking me the other day about sort of how do you tell, or how do you decide or distinguish. They were talking about attics in crawl spaces, and she was Naomi from Atlanta was mentioning rats and stuff like that. And I'm like, rats carry disease, they carry bacteria. You know, their pee, their poop it all carries bacteria. So if I see any signs of that, it's a no for me. For me, you know, you may have some people who say, I ain't worried about it, I ain't gonna catch none. That's fine. But for me, that would be enough for it to be a limitation. I would notate it, and I would be okay with, if that realtor didn't want to work with me again, I would be okay with that. So that's the decision that you have to make when you are determining what is a limitation, and, you know, as it relates to your safety and all that kind of stuff, you have to make a decision that you are comfortable with, knowing the implications that it may or may not have on your business. Okay, so again, we talked about this insulation piece for the crawl space. Your 6 mil vapor barrier taped and sealed at the seams needs to go up the wall. And again, this is kind of like what a nice crawl space would look like, clean and dry and all of that kind of good stuff. Okay, I think that's it. There's basement. Oh no, that's it. So the last one is not showing up here, but it's just basement insulation, basement wall insulation, which is if you have a framed basement wall, like your basement is framed up, then you treat it like basically any exterior wall, and you would insulate using your batt insulation that would fit in between the studs of your basement walls. Okay? Any questions? No más preguntas? All right, 7:40. How does the time go so fast? Like, honestly. All right, let's get to the questions. If all hearts and minds are clear, y'all ready for the questions?
Yes.
All right, so I've got roof, exterior, and structural separate from plumbing. Which do you want to do first? Or you don't care? No preference, say the less. All right, I won't tell you. We'll just get to it. As always, you'll see the question. Whoever answers first correctly will receive the point. Okay. $42. I'm at the end. Okay. Everybody can see the screen? All right. First question. Let me pull up the chat box so I can see because the answers are gonna come quick. Okay, first question. Translate. Eliminate first. I don't care about who's the fastest. I care about you answering correctly and trusting the process. First answer, Nicole says C. Drop your answer. She could be wrong. Understand what the question is asking you first. Brick veneer, I know we're talking about exterior wall covering. Counter flashing. Everybody drop your answer. Oh, there. Okay, I couldn't see the rest. All right. Correct answer is C. Brick veneer or counter flashing is set in the groove of the joints. Point goes to Nicole. All right, next question. First answer, Nicole. Nicole says C. Sue Money says C. Edith says C. Miss Thomas says C. Correct answer is, in fact, C. Point goes to Nicole. All right, y'all gonna let Nicole win again? Don't let Nicole whoop up on y'all again. Next question. Notches. Careful now. Yeah, don't worry about if you can't do it fast. Just get your answers right. This is practice. This is review. So it's less about the game. First answer, Miss Thomas says C. Notches and studs in load-bearing walls may not exceed. That's confusing. May not exceed. I would take that out and I would say can't. The depth of the stud. Edith says D. Augie says B. Everybody drop your answer. Oh, we didn't have the answer to that one. What's the correct answer? Is it B or is it C?
I think it's C. I think. Oh, hold on. 1/3 is. Sue Money, this your spot. Where you at, boo? Sue always get me on this. I know you should probably driving. Hold on. Let me think. I know how I remember this non-load bearing. Oh, I forgot how she explained it to me.
Hold on, my bad. Y'all, I'm on the radio. Hold on, my bad.
The correct answer is C.
Okay.
25%. Point goes to Miss Thomas on the board. All right. Next.
Oh, the notching is the fraction. Or the notching would be. I'm trying to remember. Never mind. Go ahead.
All right, next question. Translate first. Augie says C. First answer. Sue Money says C. Nicole says C. During an attic inspection, you notice 2x4 members spanning between opposing rafters in the upper third of the space. What are those members called? What are those members called? Okay, the upper third. That's the key right there. The upper third. Correct answer is C. Point goes to Augie. That's Texas 2 times in a row.
Now, what was the name of it? Is it collar tie or rafter tie?
Which one is it in the upper third?
My first mind said collar tie, but then I started trying to imagine.
Well, always go with your first mind. First mind has it.
Remember, your collar is at the top of your shirt. That's
Good.
how I remember it.
That's a good way to remember it. Collar tie. Next question. During a crawl space inspection, you find dry stacked. Ooh, there's a lot of words here. CMU piers supporting a girder. No mortar or grout in the joints. What do you do? Oh, good look, twin. What do you do? What do you do when the CMU is dry stacked? No mortar or grout in the joints. Sue Money says C. Miss Thomas says B. Augie says C. Do you know what dry stacking is?
I know you're not supposed to do it.
I take it. Correct
I'm in
answer.
the flood zone. I'm in a hurricane area. You're not supposed to do that.
Correct answer is C. Sue Money point. So dry stacking is just the CMUs with no mortar in between them. This is a common defect down there in Atlanta. Craig probably sees this a lot. Okay, you got to have mortar or some sort of grout in between. Remember, CMU is your concrete masonry units. We don't want them to be dry stacked. Okay, next question. Oh, you got it first? Hold up, let me look.
It was Craig.
Okay, my bad, Craig. Oh, I didn't. That was a typo. Okay, so this is the next question. Plywood and OSB roof sheathing should be installed with the long dimension perpendicular to the rafters and exceeding across at least how many rafters? So if the first number is incorrect, I can eliminate. First answer, Sue Money says C, Nicole says D, Edith says C. I need to cover at least how many rafters, and no piece should be less than blank inches wide. Correct answer is C. That point goes to Sue Money. Let me see. C, D, C, B. Okay, yeah. So remember, perpendicular to the rafters, and you want it to cover at least 3 of those rafters. Okay? All right. Wood roof trusses. What size dimensional lumber are wood roof trusses made of? Eliminate. Eliminate. First answer, Craig. What can I eliminate? Correct answer is A. Craig. Point goes to Craig. So you should have been able to eliminate 2 by 10. That's too large. 2 by 10 is too large. Likely so is 2 by 8. I'm down to A and C. Next question. The flashing on a sidewall. Inches high and inches wide. First answer, Sue Money says B. Craig says B. Edith says B. Sidewall. You got to remember what a sidewall is so you can picture the installation. Drop your answer. Eliminate. Each time you eliminate, you increase your chances of getting the answer right. Correct answer is B. That point goes to Sue Money. All right. Next question. A notch located in the end of a ceiling joist should have a maximum, no more than. First answer, Augie says C.
This what 1/3 was.
That
That was still wrong. It was wrong.
let me double check because I thought it was 1/3 too. Oh, the end.
Yeah. Dang it. What's the 1/3 then? Now I'm finna look it up.
Yeah. At the end of the joist. That's the key.
The 1/3 where it's like it can't be in the middle of the joist. Maybe that's the one, Augie.
Yeah, that's it.
Middle third, 1/3
the
of the
middle
span.
third.
You can have no notching. Okay. I got that one wrong too. This is actually a very good diagram. Let me save this so I can post this. That's good stuff. Okay, so did anybody?
Mm-mm.
Craig, Sue Money answered before you. You did get it correct. She just had it correct first. All right, next question. 1/4 of the joist depth because it is at the end. The 1/3 of the span, we are to have none. A ridge board, a minimum of. Soon as I see that, I know exactly what they're talking about. I know I can eliminate 2 of them jokers. First answer, Craig, B. Nicole says A. And have a minimum depth. Sue Money says B. Drop your answer. You should have been able to eliminate C and D because we know that the ridge board got to be a minimum of 1 inch thick. Correct answer, Nicole. That's 3 for Nicole, 2 for Craig, 2 for Sue Money. Miss Thomas and Augie is on the board with 1. Next question. Roof trusses. First answer, Nicole says C. Augie says C. Craig says A. Drop your answer. Now, roof trusses are usually blank, meaning that the truss bottom cord bears on the top wall. Craig done switched up his answer. I tried to give y'all a chance. Y'all let Craig switch up his answer. Point go to Craig. All right. All right, next question. Maximum. Center to center. First answer, Craig says C, the maximum. For 2x6 studs for 8-foot walls. Craig says C. Nicole says C. Eva says D. Craig done changed up again to D. Drop your answer. Maximum. Remember that OC, Augie, you had this in your assignment. I think that's what you were referring to. You didn't know how to read. The OC stands for on center. So from one center of the stud to the other center of the stud. What's the answer? See how that maxim, that min and max will throw you off? Correct answer goes to Craig. Craig got it right first. Nicole got it correct. Edith, you were right with your first mind. I told you not to change these damn answers. Actually, okay, no, see, because Craig, you changed your answer. So that point got to go to Nicole. Now, see? Okay. Nicole, so okay, Nicole, first answer C, E to C. Craig changed to D, or you said D maximum. C. Okay. All right. I got to watch y'all. Y'all changing answers and whatnot. All right, next question. Oh, this is the same one. Nails used to attach concrete roof tiles shall penetrate a minimum. First answer, Nicole says C. A minimum of what? Now, Edith, what is DC? All right, so Nicole says C. Craig says C. Augie says A. Edith says C. Sue says C. Correct answer is, in fact, C. Point to Nicole. That's 5 for Nicole, 3 for Craig, 2 for Sue Money. Next question. Oh, it's 8:05. We got to switch to plumbing. In a non-bearing partition, notched a maximum. I think that was Edith with the first answer, C. Sue Money with C. Craig with C. Augie with C. Or was that, they came in fast. Was that Sue Money first?
Let's eat it first.
But Edith just answered again. So that's why I was wondering.
Oh, let's eat it first.
I think that was for the previous question when she did DC and then she
Oh,
answered.
yeah,
C.
she took one of her.
Okay,
yeah.
so Sue Money with C first, Craig C, Augie C, Edith C, Nicole says D. Correct answer is C. I think maybe what you are, now that I see this, don't confuse stud and joist. I think that's where maybe the confusion was coming in at. All right, so point to Sue Money. All right, so Craig and Sue are tied. Let's go a couple more, then we'll switch up to plumbing. First answer, Sue Money says B. Nicole says C. Craig says C. So discharge a minimum of how many feet from the foundation wall? A minimum. A minimum. Correct answer is B. Point goes to Sue Money. All right. Nicole with 5, Sue Money with 4, Craig with 3. All right, let's switch and go plumbing. Okay, let me start this at the beginning. Okay. I'm gonna switch to the next question. So that's a freebie. Okay, what is the minimum drainage pipe size that can accept flow from a toilet? What's the answer? This is a freebie. Free bands. Minimum. Correct answer is C. Minimum. All right, here goes the first question. In a bathroom, at least one receptacle outlet shall be located a maximum of how far from the outside of the lavatory? First answer is Nicole, who says B. Located a maximum from the outside edge of each lavatory basin, aka lav sink. Drop your answer. Nicole says B. Edith says D. What say the rest of y'all? A maximum of 36 inches. Correct answer is D. Point goes to Edith on the board. Let's go. Oklahoma in the building. All right. Next question. Got to translate this. You notice a black plastic drain pipe. First answer, Augie, says C. Connected to a white plastic pipe. What is the proper reporting? Oh, why is there not an answer there? Correct answer is, let me see. The correct answer is C. Point goes to Augie. This is there are a lot of these types of questions. These are those defect or implication questions that you see a lot of on the exam. Who remembers what an evaporative cooler is? First answer.
It's showing the answer.
Oh, man. Doggone it. Okay. How about this one? Which line carries low pressure, cool refrigerant gas back to the compressor? First answer, Nicole. First answer was actually Craig. Craig C, Nicole C, Augie C. Okay, so all of y'all feel like it's C, huh? All of you would be correct. All right, so that's 5 for Nicole, 4 for Craig, 4 for Sue, 2 for Augie, and Edith and Miss Thomas are on the board with a point apiece. Next question. Oh. ABS. Where are we likely to see ABS? What are the support requirements? First answer, Miss Thomas, C. See, this is where that elimination comes in. If you don't know the answer, you got to try to eliminate your way. I don't know what it is. Let me use what I know to try to eliminate what I know it's not. C, C, C. Miss Thomas says C. Nicole says C. Sue Money says C.
I'm trying to eliminate, but I don't know how on this question. All sounds the same.
All sounds the same?
Mm. What's the following? Okay, ABS. It's ABS.
First of all, we got to know what ABS is used for. What that material, what that pipe material, where is that used for? Is that used for water supply? Is that used for water drainage? That would be the first thing I would be considering. Okay. Then now once I come to my answer, vertical supports must be installed every 4 feet. I don't know. I can't get rid of that. Mid-story guides are only required on pipes larger than 2 inches.
That doesn't make sense.
I agree. I would get him up out of here. B is gone. Horizontal supports must be spaced. I don't know. I can't get rid of that. No vertical support is required below 10 feet.
That.
You would get rid of that?
They have to have some kind of support.
So I would get rid of B and D, maybe. I would be left with A and C.
Okay.
Now I got to guess and hope and pray. C. Horizontal supports.
And it's because it's a water pipe that we got there, right? Because we know ABS is a water supply pipe, right?
Is it?
That's what's in my head.
Is ABS a supply pipe? That point goes to Miss Thomas, yes? ABS is your
drain waste vent.
Mm-hmm.
It's typically uncommon, correct?
It's typically uncommon?
Yeah, it's like not uncommon, but it's, isn't that one of the pipes that isn't really used? Or if we do see it, then it's like the life expectancy should, never mind.
Yeah, because no, not really. I would say it is not as common as PVC and CPVC was when it comes to drain pipes, but it's likely not at the end of its life. It's plastic. All right, so that point goes to Miss Thomas. Did I see that correctly? 8:14, y'all. Okay. Next question. Fittings. First answer, Nicole. First answer, I'm sorry, Augie with B. Nicole says C. Sue says B. Craig says B. Edith says B. Change drainage flow from horizontal to vertical. What do I need to go from horizontal to vertical? Horizontal to vertical. A sanitary T is a T.
Right, that's what I was picturing, like it comes and it goes to a different direction. That's, maybe I pictured the wrong thing.
B, Nicole, B, Edith. Okay, so nobody said A. Now, Nicole, what is a vent quarter bend?
I pushed the wrong button.
Oh, okay, all right,
Sure.
all right,
I don't even, yeah, no.
Okay, cool. All right.
So when you use a sanitary T, what direction does it go?
What do you mean? What direction?
Like the water flow. I thought it was like a picture in it, like it's a T. If it goes horizontal, yeah, I don't know.
I can't picture the short-term quarter bend. That's what I can't picture.
Let me see if I can find a picture for you. Short. The sanitary T.
That one like an elbow. The short turn quarter bend looks like an elbow.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Google. Yeah, I see. How's that changing direction?
I'm actually this is kind of a bad question because it kind of could be a T, but
This is one of those best answer situations.
yeah,
Mm.
it kind of could be a T, but the quarter bend is a better answer.
But how is it changing the direction though?
Because the horizontal pipe would be right here, and then that quarter bend would be right here, and then that will go to your vertical pipe. It's
Gotcha.
just a small little quarter right there to turn it from horizontal down to vertical. So yeah.
I picture it now. I got it.
Well, the sanitary T is like something that is gonna be like two verticals connecting.
Two horizontals.
Right. Two horizontals, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And going into vertically.
Vertical.
So the best answer to this is the quarter bend because it's just talking about one horizontal
Two
line.
vertical.
I'm thinking that's the trick there. To the
Fair. I feel like I can make an argument for sanitary T, but what do I know? Next question. Let's keep going. That's a good example though, to Sue's point of why you got to choose the very best answer, because there are many of them where multiple could go. A new bathroom. I got a sink with a P trap and a bottle trap. What's good? First answer, Craig. Second answer, Augie. Everybody says B. Anybody think anything else? Okay. Correct answer is in fact B. You can't double trap. You can't have two traps on the fixture. That point goes to Craig. So now we got Craig and Nicole tied up at 5. Sue Money with 4. Augie and Miss Thomas with 2. Edith with 1. Next question. First answer, Nicole says C. Sue Money says A. Miss Thomas says A. Craig says A. Edith says A. Correct answer is A.
Okay, so okay, everybody said A, but my mind wanted to say B because I thought that you could have it was a depth of 4 inches
That's the max.
max. Okay.
What is the
thank-
minimum?
The minimum is 2.
The minimum is 2.
Okay. Thank y'all.
All right. Next question. Did I get a point for that? 24. That was Nicole? No.
Sue, I think.
Yeah, A. First answer A. So that's 5. So we got Nicole, Sue Money, and Craig tied up at 5. All right. Let me see. These answers coming in quickly. Best describes the function of the vent system. First answer, Nicole says B. Orgy says B. Sue says B. Edith says B. Miss Thomas says B. That is correct. Point to Nicole. So that's 6. All right, next question. We'll go to 8:30. Got 5 more minutes. Where can I have my vent pipe? C, B, B, B. Correct answer. C. Point goes to Nicole. Remember, your clearances are important. Don't get your vent clearances and your electrical service clearances confused. Next question. First answer, Edith says A. Nicole says C. Change it. You got time to change it if you feel you need to. What can you eliminate? A sewage ejector system is working right if so we got Nicole with C, we got Miss Thomas with C, we got Edith with C, we got Orgy with C, we got Craig with C. That is correct.
Glad I didn't change it.
See, I told you. All right, so that's 7 for Nicole, 5 for Craig, 5 for Sue Money, 2 and 2 for Miss Thomas and Augie, and Edith on the board with 1. All right. 2 more minutes. Next question. Which is a sign of a failing septic drain field? First answer, Craig says B. Nicole says D. Craig, did you hit the wrong button? Edith says B. Edith, did you hit the wrong button too? Nicole says D. Miss Thomas says D. Augie D. Sue Money says C. Correct answer is D. Now, guys, remember now, the septic drain field. So B could not have been the answer. A could not have been the answer. C could not have been the answer. Remember, the drain field is out in the yard, in the area. Okay, so that's point to Nicole, right? Yeah. Nicole, first answer D. Okay. All right, next question. First answer, Craig, C. Augie says C. Nicole says C. Sue Money says C. Edith says C. Miss Thomas says C. That is correct. Y'all must have studied that whirlpool question because we got that wrong the last time. All right, so point to Craig. Okay, so that's Nicole with 8, Craig with 6, Sue Money with 5. So Nicole is our winner. We'll give Nicole +2. And let's do one last question for all of the marbles for another point on the final. You ready? Hold up. Let me make sure it's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, I like this one. All right. The question is just gonna flash on the screen, so be ready. Be ready. First answer, Craig, B. Sue Money says B. Augie says B. Edith, Miss Thomas also say B. All right. Correct answer is in fact B. Craig got him a point. All right. Do y'all want to have these? Do y'all want me to share the link to these? Because there are a lot more questions that we didn't get to go through
Thank you.
together.
Yes, please.
We appreciate
I don't know
it.
why I even asked y'all. All right, I'm gonna share the link for both of them. Remember that roof, exterior, and structural is in one. There are questions on one, and then plumbing are the questions for the other one. Okay, so I'll drop that in school here in a couple minutes. On Sunday, we will cover our last system, our 10th and final home system, fireplace and chimney. I will give you a heads up on Sunday. I will be assigning your final mock inspection report. So schedule whatever house you're going to use. If you have any questions as it relates to the templates, to the comments, or anything, make sure that you ask them so that you have clarity, because I'll need these reports to be official. These are for the money. Okay, this is like if you were getting paid $500 or $600 for your inspection. I also want you to remember that these inspection reports that you have been completing, the last few, because the first couple ones was a little dicey, but these last few, you need to save them to your portfolio so that as you start to put your business together, you can use these as sample reports, especially this last one, because this is going to be your best one yet. Okay, so that is on Sunday. That is our last technical class. Okay, we'll do our business class and we'll do our final, and I'll be out your hair. I promise. Okay. Any questions? I think
Okay, I have one question.
Go ahead.
Because our Fridays have, at least most of the stuff that we covered, we do a part 2 on Friday, but I noticed when I go back and I look at our classes, it doesn't have the Fridays. But we was covering stuff on Fridays that we didn't have enough time to cover on Sundays. So Fridays are not ever recorded.
Fridays are recorded. Send Tiff a message. I think there are a couple ones, like maybe the ones when I was in the basement that I didn't have or something like that, but send her a message.
Okay.
And she can get them for you.
So where are we gonna look for these videos?
I don't know how she places them in. When you there's some study sessions that are in there, right?
Yeah,
I don't
when you
know if
go to when you click classroom, every class she does with us on Sundays is there
Yeah.
Where does she put the study sessions at though? I'm sorry, I don't even know.
on the classroom.
But is it like a separate? I'll ask
Yeah,
her.
when you go to school, you click the classroom tab,
Yeah.
and then you click IF8,
Yeah.
and if you just click the week, then it just goes to whatever week that you taught us. You just click play on the video under the classroom tab. Just
But
click
like
IF8.
that electrical one, I think Nicole specifically asked for that one, so Tiff put that one in there. So under that week, is there like another class listed, or did she just?
And I'll just share screen. Like, see, there's electrical 1 and 2, but remember that Friday you covered more with us, and so that's what I was looking for. The rest that you covered with us for each one of those Fridays, it was at least for heating and these 2 electricals. We ended up on a Friday and finishing it.
Okay, yeah. Y'all send her a message, and I'll also let her know too, because I might need to give her access to it, and I'll have her get those up by Sunday so that you'll have them for your preparation.
Edie, you see where I'm at? You see under classroom? When you click classroom, all you see is this, and you click this, and then it shows you everything recorded.
Any other questions?
Are we always gonna have access to these videos even when we're done?
You have access to them for a year after your graduation.
Okay.
Trust me, you ain't gonna be looking. As soon as you pass that test, you ain't gonna be giving a damn about these.
August 2nd. So I need these words.
Yeah. So you'll have them for up to a year, so that if you, in case you have to take it a couple of times or whatever, yes, you will have access to it. Any other questions?
Just thank y'all, man, for everything. Pray for me. Please pray for me. My test August 2nd.
We will. Good job today. You all answered a lot of those questions correctly. So good job with that. Continue with your review. Don't wait on us to do it collectively. Y'all get together individually, start reviewing. And again, those areas that we like, that private on plumbing, that sewage, that septic, all that stuff that we didn't get to go real in depth, like that, those are the areas where again you probably have blind spots. It's like, what is this? What is that? So I would highly recommend going over those areas. I will share the link again to both of these sets of questions so you'll have them, and y'all have a blessed and productive weekend, and I will see you on Sunday. Peace.
Northeast Ohio. What a beautiful day we had today. Listen. Where y'all at, girl? 'Cause
Somebody asked me if Inspector Flo was a school. I don't know if I'm not doing enough to market or if they're just being lazy, but Inspector Flo is most certainly the number one school for home inspectors in the country. Somebody asked me if Inspector Flo was a school. I don't know if I'm not doing enough to market or if they're just being lazy, but Inspector Flo is most certainly the number one. Oh, we running next.
I want my garage.
Elon Musk and Doge.
So this is
Yeah, Quentin, one of Quentin cousins is my friend. She told me I thought y'all were cool, and I said go talk to him. He crashed a real friendship for 5 minutes of fame on the internet. I said go ask him what he did, but he's trying to turn it around on me. Yeah, BC told me he's trying to turn it around on me. I said you can't make me tell my truth if I didn't want to. You feel what I'm saying? You're supposed to be my brother. You can't make me tell something I want.